Howard, you were at Nielsen in some of the early days,
Yep.
maybe when we only had three or four broadcast networks,
Yep.
maybe three, and then you returned a number of years later. What would you say was similar about Nielsen? What would you say is, obviously there are many differences from your two
Yeah,
experiences,
yeah.
but can you talk about that transition
Sure.
over time?
Sure. Let me just think about the best way to think about this. Look, I think one thing that's consistent, and we probably don't give them enough credit for, is their commitment to quality. I think it's when they talk about the National People Meter being probably the best research panel that exists in the world. I think that's true, and I think their commitment has stayed consistent, probably even ramped up a little bit because obviously the job has gotten harder. I think the industry that they're dealing with is way more complex now than it was. When I left there in '86, it was probably when Fox was just launching. They probably measured 20 cable networks. There was no DVR. And I think just the nature of the business that they were supporting was much simpler. I think now, obviously, it's way more chaotic. Technology is changing at a speed of light. And I think it's harder for Nielsen to stay current. Plus, you have this challenge that they face where they want to be a relevant provider of cross-platform, but they have to acknowledge the fact that in most digital sales groups, they're much more likely to work with ComScore data than Nielsen Online data. I think obviously, if you think about their product portfolio, it's much wider now. Between owning IAG, having purchased IAG, having purchased Neurofocus. So I think there's more willingness to be broader. I think I sort of lived this as a Nielsen person twice, and then as a client a couple of times. They still need to know more about our business so they could actually tell us stuff we need to know, rather than sometimes it feels like we're extracting wisdom teeth by trying to wrestle key information out of them. They need to understand the pace that our business moves, which is we're being asked to answer questions immediately, and sometimes we don't have the time. But yeah, I think it's important that sort of that commitment to quality and the commitment to client service, it's still there in spite of new ownership.
SIM has an initiative in cross-platform measurement, and they had a recent conference where they took 4 different possible solutions, which really helped highlight the value of collaboration between competing networks, between competing measurement companies. What are your thoughts about the future of collaboration?
I think it's a hard thing for anybody at Nielsen or ComScore or other places to sort of step back and acknowledge, but I really think the idea that in this new emerging world that there's going to be one company that solves all of our problems, especially relative to cross-platform, is just not, I don't think that's realistic. So I would impress on the research companies out there to try to think about solving my problems first, and know that to solve my problem, they may need to be a data contributor and not own the whole thing. If you think about it, you have, you have Nielsen, and we've even talked about it, you have Nielsen, you have ComScore, you have Rentrack. Those are 3 different currency measurement companies for different parts of my business. You have great stuff going on with Symphony AM, with their panel, Touchpoints with their new vision, where you have services that are not currency focused, but provide great insights into how media cross-platform integrate. And I really, I'm a believer that we get to the optimal solution by each company realizing that there's, and recognizing that they want to make money, that the best way for them to make money is to be a data contributor into a massive plan that supports everybody, and they don't have to own the whole thing. I hope that we can get there. Obviously, it's a challenge to convince different media companies to play that way. But, I think it's a dialogue we really need to aggressively have. And I think it's a place where I can't imagine that there's a media company who wouldn't want that outcome. So hopefully we can all speak with one voice.